everybody plans on coming in here now. Right. Right, I'll make it.
Doesn't
No,
look
they're
like it showed up.
moving.
Go again.
Okay, I'll call the Public Safety Committee to order. All members are present. We'll start with item 45, new Class D operator bartender application for Marco Mora. Item 2022-1134. This is Mr. Morrow's second appearance. Is he here? Okay, he is not here. Second appearance?
Denied.
Second.
For,
Okay.
for non-appearance.
Non-appearance and record? Does that have to be stated? Yes. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 46, 2023-0036, new Class D operator bartender application for Brittany Reed. Brittany Reed's second appearance. Is Brittany here? Okay, Brittany is not here. Do we have a motion?
Move to deny based on non-appearance.
Okay, and
Second.
record? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 47, 2023-0061, new Class D operator bartender application for Tracy Beauchamp. Second appearance. Is Miss Beauchamp here?
She did contact us requesting to be held again, but this is the second appearance, so we have to continue what you're.
I would make a motion to deny based on non-appearance and extensive record.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 48, 2023-0106, Class D operator bartender application for Delaney Applin. Also second appearance. Is Ms. Applin here? Okay, we're moving right along. Do we have a
Move
motion?
to deny based on non-appearance.
Okay, and record?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 49, discussion regarding streamlining and establishing guidelines for processing extension of premises applications for Class B establishments, which is item 2023-0127. I would like to turn this over to Rebecca Grill, if you would like to outline. This is something that Alderwoman Keene and I were looking to possibly tidy up. I know that we look to have this extension of premise at the start of COVID, and it seems like we've got all the pieces in place with the exception of a couple. So with that being said, Rebecca, would you mind?
Sure.
Thank you.
I just put together a little presentation. I'm going to start with going through over what a temporary extension is and then the regulations. So the temporary extension allows the holder of a license, typically a Class B tavern licensee, to serve alcohol in another area besides what's on their licensed premises that's contiguous to their licensed premise, meaning right next to it. It's usually used for a special event or for a longer term event. We've typically been doing them for 6 months now, or between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend. The code allows them to go up for 6 months at a time. The regulations are they have to use plastic containers only, can't be louder than 100 decibels within 100 feet from the premises, must have a border that marks the extension. The lighting can't project directly outside the premises, and then it can't be used after 10 p.m. and before 9 a.m. unless the council approves that. I will send this to you so you don't. So there's also temporary entertainment. This allows people to do entertainment outside. Sometimes they might not have an entertainment license and they want to have a special event that includes entertainment. For one time they would get this. Otherwise, they might have an entertainment license inside, but they're having a special type of entertainment that they normally wouldn't have inside. So then they would need to have this too. So sometimes these go hand in hand. They're not permitted between 11 p.m. and 9 a.m. unless approved by the council, and then there's minor restrictions, and then there's restrictions about machines, which really doesn't apply to outdoor premises. So the current approval process, the process that we use in the clerk's office, anything that's a daily or a single event, we've been putting through on the consent agenda. So if someone just comes in for a one-day event, if they want alcohol and entertainment, we put it on the consent agenda. For the seasonal or long-term extensions, if it's 6 months or less and there's no entertainment, we put those on the consent agenda. So like if somebody just wants to serve alcohol with, food outside and there's not going to be entertainment, those would go on the consent agenda. I think we have very few of those, so that's why I think we're having this discussion is because we send the ones that have any entertainment to the committee, regardless of what that is, because we don't want to be responsible for making that decision. And then for the temporary entertainment, as long as they're within the regulations, we sent them for consent agenda, and if somebody wants an exception, then we would send them to public safety. Did you want me to go over what you requested? For
Yes,
the approval
please.
process?
Yes.
Okay. So there was a discussion with Alderwoman Keene and Grisham regarding what we could change in the approval process. So the suggestion was made that if there's 32 or less events between Memorial Day and a Labor Day, it would go on consent agenda. If the decibels were 90 or under, it would go on consent agenda, and this would be regardless of whether there's entertainment or not. Things that would go to the public safety would be if they want to have events before Memorial Day weekend or after Labor Day weekend, and if they want to have more than 32 events, regardless of when they're having those. And then exceptions to the regulations, like the hours and that kind of thing. And then the addition of if somebody wants to have decibels between 90 or 100 or more than 100, those would have to go to public safety. Our staff consensus would be, we would request that everything would go on consent if it was, except the ones that people want before or after Labor Day, and then if there's exceptions to the regulations like the decibels, the hours, and things like that. I know there was some further discussion about just reducing the decibels to 90 period, which certainly that could be done with the ordinance. If we do that, I would also request that we make the hours the same. So we have 11 to 9 here, and we have 10 and 10. So if we can have some consistency, it would be easier for everyone to remember, whichever way it is. So, I don't know if there's any questions.
Rebecca, one thing, and I was going to address this with our next, is Sunday evenings. It seems to be for those that are having a lot of events. I would personally think that the hours should be reduced for Sunday evening, say if you're having a band or something like that. So can we add that on a Sunday evening per se, it can't go past like 8 o'clock?
I know in some other municipalities, they have it set for weeknights. It ends at a certain time, and then weekends it's allowed to a later time.
Okay.
So that would be a consideration. If we could set times that they could request within those, it would make it more easy for us to identify what goes to
Exactly.
committee or not.
Yeah,
So-
but if it's a standard set, 8 o'clock end time for music.
Sunday nights or throughout, Sunday through Thursday.
Yeah.
And if they wanted an exception, then they would have to come to committee.
Exactly.
And then, maybe Friday and Saturday nights are 10 o'clock. I
Yeah.
don't know what
Yeah.
you would be thinking, but
Right. And yeah, and I'm fine with those hours if everyone else is. I think the purpose, just so you all know, that we tried this out for over a year and a half or better now. And now there's a level of redundancy and kind of inconvenience for our business owners to have to continuously come through and hear the same thing from us. So now that we have that system, I think it can be at the front desk. You know, it can be handled right there. And as Rebecca had stated, come right to the consent agenda. So it will provide much more efficiency all the way around, and we can address other matters. So that was our intention behind it. Now, the only thing I would wonder, and I guess I would defer to you all, is changing that decibel from 100 to 90. I'm not knowledgeable when it comes to the decibel and what a 10 decibel difference would make, or if it even would. And as I'm looking at Alderman Stefanski, he could probably,
It doesn't make that much of a difference, especially when we've got motorcycles that are louder than 100 decibels
okay,
at 50 feet even.
yeah, but not consistent.
Right. And it seemed to have worked. I mean, I know we've had places get checked and they've been
Yeah.
always under the 100 decibels. In fact, some of them have been under 90.
Yeah,
on
so
their
90
own.
isn't
So-
unreasonable,
Right.
is what I'm asking.
Right, but I don't know if we need to change it from 100 to 90, based on the 100 feet rule. I don't know if that would be,
Well,
It-
that's
you know,
open.
remembering
Yeah.
100.
yeah.
Yeah, 100 would be fine, if everybody would be in consensus with that on the discussion item, that we can just keep it back at that 100. It could have just been Dana and I being confused that we thought it was 90, to be honest with you. So that really is all my points on this. I would like you all to consider, adopting it and moving it forward. That's not something we'll be doing tonight. It's just a discussion item. But if we have a consensus to move forward, that's what I would like to see. And Dana and I will sponsor it at our next council meeting.
Sure.
Yes.
Question?
Go ahead, Tracy.
Noise ordinance on the weekend is 11, correct?
I'm just looking that up
Or is it,
really quickly.
because a weekday is 10.
I'm
Yeah,
not
it's 10 on the
sure.
weekday, for sure.
Because I'm thinking if they're stopping outside at 10, that gives them time to tear down and be done by 11 o'clock on the
On the
weekends.
weekends?
Yeah,
Yeah, it would make sense, I think, to stop at 10 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays unless there's a
Right.
specific exception,
Yeah.
And even if somebody has a longer term extension that, for a season, but if they want to have one event that lasts longer, they could apply for, a single day exception.
Yeah, for the exception.
They could give it to them for longer. if
like say
it's-
they're bringing a national act in or something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Okay.
So there would always be the ability to have that exception.
I'm not seeing a differentiation or a distinction between weekends and weekdays in the code. But we can talk if that's something somebody wants to sponsor or
Yeah.
change.
I'm good with it being 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So from what I understand, we'll 10 on Friday and Saturday and 8
on Sundays.
On
on
Sundays
Sunday
and
through
weeknight.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what time starting?
Well, Paulie, what time do we start normally?
Some of those, I don't know, because I don't know what it pertains to, because if churches have outdoor sessions, do they do 9 o'clock churches or 8 o'clock churches? Because I know during COVID, a lot of them did stuff like that.
That's a
So,
good point.
Are some of those gonna be hindered by this? I mean, is it maybe 100 or less people? You
No, and
start-
This is for
You
the
know-
alcohol.
Yeah, this is for the alcohol.
Oh, this is.
That would be,
oh,
yeah,
oh,
this would
okay.
be unrelated.
I would think if you're doing poker runs, 9 in the morning, would that be a reasonable time?
What do we have it currently?
I think it said 9, right?
Yeah, it's 11 to 9, you can't do it, and then the.
So 9 a.m. you can start, but that one says 10 to 10. So I would probably do 10 in the morning. Does that
Yeah,
I'd
sound
say
reasonable?
8, I think.
10 to 8 would be good.
yeah.
And then on Saturdays and Sundays, now
It's 10 to 10, or it's
does that affect church festivals? Because church festivals usually go to 10:30, 11 o'clock.
No, I don't think so.
they would get
A
An
different
exception.
permit?
special, yeah, Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's only a one-time event.
Yeah.
Right.
We're looking more in the scheme of like your business per se, or others that are really, brought this into the community. That is just more simplifies the process.
Right, right. We filled it out a couple times.
Just a
And I am
couple.
not the smartest person in the room, so.
Right.
We had a lot of help from the clerks again, so we
Okay,
appreciate
so
that very much.
are there any more questions or discussion?
Madam Chair,
Alderwoman Ranky.
Rebecca, could you clarify the entertainment license when you said if there's a different entertainment in the inside than on the outside, would they need two entertainment
They would-
licenses?
They
Or
would
would
probably
one
get
do it?
a temporary one for the outside. So if there's like, if someone's bringing in a band for a weekend or something like that,
On
they
the
would get a
outside?
temporary one for the outside. They might just have like amusement machines and, I don't know, disc jockeys or, I don't know what they
So
call
if
them.
you had wrestling or something like that?
Or
Something for a
wrestling.
sporting
So a one-time only, more of a event.
Okay,
If I'm answering your question, a lot of the bars will get a public entertainment license for the interior of the premises.
Yes.
And so this would be specifically if they're having an exterior temporary extension of that or putting something outside. Is that?
is that a separate license though then?
That's the temporary entertainment.
That's the temporary.
Yes, but,
Okay.
wait, I won't say the other thing, because you can get like a permanent or an annual license outside, but that's different.
Okay. All right, and then, under the consent agenda for these items, do they have to designate the dates that will be used?
So the recommendation here is as long as it's between Memorial Day weekend, and I look at that as Friday of Memorial Day to the Monday, Labor Day,
Okay,
then we would just, and they're okay with all the exceptions and everything, then it would just go on the consent agenda.
okay.
But
Otherwise,
if they wanted it outside of that, like for St. Patrick's Day or something like that, then if it's not a one day only, if it's a more of a longer term, then we would send it to the Public Safety Committee for discussion.
but do they have to note what dates they will be?
Yes, we have that on the application.
Okay, all right.
So they might just want it for June, so they would put that on there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Would we just move along? It doesn't have to be placed on file, correct? Discussion has ended.
Sorry, I was called before Delaney Applin.
Number 48.
Okay. What would our protocol be here?
She's
Where-
saying, if the board wants to take it up, I think we can. We haven't ended the meeting or anything.
Okay.
Just do a motion to reconsider. and
Correct.
Sure.
Give me 1 second.
She was also called, she just said two.
Oh, we have 2. Where were you ladies hiding? Were you? So you weren't in here to know? Okay.
couldn't hear you.
All right, then we'll make a motion to reconsider. And so who do we have here? We have Delaney Applin and who else?
Tracy Beauchamp.
Okay, and, all right. Okay, we'll start with item 47, which would be 2023-0061 new Class D operator bartender application for Tracy Beauchamp. This is your second appearance, so welcome. Thank you for attending. The reason why you've been brought before the council is when you're applying for a bartender's license, things may appear on your record that are brought into question, and that's specifically why you're here. So I will open it up to the other alders to discuss and ask any questions of you. I have some concerns and would like to know at this time, is your driver's license valid or?
It's valid.
Okay, all right. What types of rehabilitation efforts have you made since these charges were on your record?
I've taken classes in Wisconsin and in Florida. It took a very long time to understand what Florida was expecting, and they also only offered it in Florida. So for many years, they wanting you to fly there. I no longer live there, and I didn't know how to go about getting that solved. So I just recently finally got a lawyer who showed me how to go online and do all this, and I took additional classes in Florida besides for Wisconsin's. Drivers, courses.
Okay. Do any other alders have any questions at this time? Okay. I'm going to go over this with you, Ms. Beauchamp, and this is just my opinion. Other alders here can make their determination. But looking at your police record, there's quite a strong history of police contact with you. That of itself is very concerning. We take it very seriously when issuing bartender's license that you are showing good judgment that relates to the licensing activity. And what I'm seeing here, if I'm looking over this history, is there's been some history that spans over 21 years, as most recent as 2022. So when we're looking back from 2001 to 2022, that there is a consistent pattern of criminal activity, and I don't know if I'm using that word appropriately, Attorney Serwin, because these are misdemeanors, correct?
Some are tickets, some are misdemeanors, so I would reference them as law violations.
Law violations, so thank you for the clarification. I have great concerns about you being responsible for other people. You're serving beer, liquor to others. There's theft charges on here. What's to say that you're serving up alcohol and somebody is not within their faculties and you can be slipping money? And I don't mean to place judgment like that. However, those are real life scenarios that can happen. And with that, I just see a habitual nature of law violations. Is there anything that you can state to this committee that would possibly change my mind at this point? Because at this point, I would deny. I haven't made the motion to do so, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to at least explain yourself.
A lot of them were a long time ago, especially the two that you're talking about. There's also circumstances that were involved with that, one of them being a child. But regardless, they are on my record. I do have 4 children. I am responsible every day, one who's handicapped. I manage to run their lives. I'm pretty sure I can manage a bar. Also, I don't know. There's been a lot of growth. I took a lot of different classes in the last couple of years.
I guess I'm taking a look. When was your last law violation that you...
Driving after ref.
Okay. Were you accurate on that?
And there's quite a few of those. But like I said, it was 7 years old since it started. So there was, 5, I think, driving after revs? Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
A lot of them are driving.
Attorney Serwin.
when did you reinstate your license?
2 months ago?
2 months ago? All right. And what was the process to reinstate or get a valid license?
Figuring out how I could go about taking those classes in Florida that weren't offered until this COVID online. I couldn't move back to Florida. Like I said, I have 4 children and I reside here. And I only lived in Florida for 3 years. I was here for a funeral. I received a ticket and I moved back home, which is here. And so then the judge had put Florida on that case, so that made it very hard financially and to figure out how I was going to be able to take them classes in Florida in order to get my license here in Wisconsin.
You had to take classes and then pay off some fines or something along those lines you could reinstate.
The fines and everything have been paid off, and I did Wisconsin many years ago. I was just trying to figure out Florida for the last probably 4 or 5 years.
And were any of the OWI-related offenses, were those associated with other bartender jobs that you had?
I've never been a bartender,
Okay. And the other
and I only have one OWI,
Okay.
7 years ago.
Right, in 2016. Okay, so the other more recent issue was a retail theft ticket. What was the nature of that?
I was with my daughter, and my daughter was actually took a stick of makeup,
That was in 2021.
I believe so.
I have no further questions.
We both got
Thank
it.
you, Attorney Serban. Do you have any questions? Okay. At this point, I'm going to stand firm on what I had stated, and I'm going to make a motion to deny at this time. And this is based on habitual criminality and record.
So just for the record, that would be habitual law violations that substantially relate to the license activity?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next, we have Delaney Applin, 2023-0106, new Class D operator bartender application, second appearance. Welcome, Ms. Applin.
I'm sorry.
You got the privilege of sitting next to Ms. Beauchamp, so I think you kind of know what the drill is here. But to reiterate, you were brought before the committee to answer to some things that were on your record. So at this time, I want to give you the opportunity to let us know kind of a little synopsis of the history and what efforts have been made for rehabilitation.
So I made two very dumb mistakes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, if I could just speak up real quick.
Yes.
Although the pending matter is obviously substantially related, it is not of an offense that could be considered while it is pending, so I just wanted to point that out, that is off the table by and large in terms of the record.
Okay.
However, there could be implications in the future if there's conviction or something along those lines, and so there could be, I don't want to play
This-
hide the ball or anything with the applicant, but in the future, there could be a revocation process, or especially if something else happens, or the body or this board could try to wait to see what was going to happen with that
Okay.
offense.
And you're referencing the one OWI.
I'm representing the 2022 OWI, correct?
Okay, so that is off the table, and that's not a question I'm going to ask of you. But I'll kind of outline it for you, what questions I would have. Based on the record that was presented before us, I see 9 operating after suspensions. Am I correct on that? I believe so. Ballpark is 9. So there's a consistent pattern. Are you a licensed driver right now?
I have not had one of those in probably 4 to 5 years. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how many there were.
Okay. How did you get here this evening?
My dad dropped me off.
Okay. And will you be, do you have a driver's license? You said
I'm
it's
suspended
revocated?
for a year. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm following. My dad drives me to work and back.
Okay. Where will you be working?
So Monday through Friday, I did just start a new day job last week. It's a walking distance in my house too. It's an auto repair shop. So I do that from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then Sundays, I only work bartending from 12 to 7. And that's at the Buzzard's Nest, 70th and Mitchell.
Okay. And they run a pretty tight ship over
do.
at the
They're
Buzzard's
great.
Nest that I'm aware of. Are you allowed to drink on duty?
No.
Okay. Those are my main concerns is, okay, you seem to go down a rabbit hole when something unfortunate as an OWI can happen. I get that. But my concern would be your judgment, no different than what I had stated before. You're responsible for other people. We want to make sure that you're making good decisions in behalf of those who may not be able to make good decisions at that time.
Yeah.
Assuring that you're not over-serving, making sure that people aren't, leaving or just not within their faculties. So that's my concern, That's a substantial amount of operating after suspension, although it's not, in my opinion, directly related to the license activity unless you're just showing poor judgment. So what can you offer the committee now to really show that rehabilitation factor is there?
So I really did make 2 dumb mistakes in a very short amount of time. I am 37 days sober. I'm not drinking. I did make very poor decisions. It's usually darts on Sundays. That's what I'm mostly serving for, and they're mostly my friends, but I've cut multiple off. Like, I don't want them to make the same mistake I did. It's dumb. Sorry.
It's okay.
I do have better judgment than that.
Does any of the other committee members have questions?
Madam Chair,
Alderwoman
I
Rankin?
I would suggest we hold this until we find out the conviction.
I do have court next week,
Anything?
Tuesday.
How long can we hold it?
I would not say indefinitely because this is, there's an application and we should process that application as they come in. There is a court date next week, and so that might be something that we can hold for just to get an update from them, but at this point in time, I don't think that that's set for a plea, and so I don't expect there to be a resolution by next week. I wouldn't encourage us to hold it very long.
It
So
would
we
be
can hold
delayed.
it like a year or half a year?
No.
It has to be within a week?
We should process it because if it's an application, if it's denied, she can also reapply at some point in time in the future. But if we just sit on it, then she doesn't have the ability to appeal or change the decision. It's just in a holding pattern, and that would be problematic legally.
I do think, I was talking to my public defender on the other day, and I do think we're doing they're gonna decide what we're doing on Tuesday it is, and so I think I would know pretty soon.
Would you be okay with a short adjournment? Just
Of course.
Okay.
Okay.
You better.
Do you have anything else?
No.
No.
Okay, then we would need a
So we
motion.
could hold it till the next council meeting?
Especially if she's okay with it. You're working with somebody else at the bar at this point?
No, I work alone.
Well,
Oh, the owners are there. They play
Okay.
darts on Sundays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Then you can continue to do that. This only allows you to operate without any other owners or bartenders there at the time.
Okay.
All right, then we need a motion
So
to
a
hold.
motion to hold until the next council meeting.
All right, and there's a
Second.
second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Budiak and Mrs. Budiak, we have item 50, 2023-0159, Class B Tavern Seasonal Temporary Premise Extension Request for Paulie's Pub, 8031 West Greenfield Avenue, from May 26, 23 through September 17th, 2023. I'm so glad this fell on this evening because of the discussion we had, the streamlining the permit.
We like streamlined too.
Isn't that nice? And you've
Very, very
been
nice.
at the forefront of the streamlining process, so thank you for going through all the bumps. I took notes on some of the conditions that we put, and that's just relative to what we already discussed. That has not passed yet, but if it does pass, that's kind of the streamline process that we're looking toward. And if we specify, we make a motion to approve with these exceptions. It's not to exceed 32 events from May 26th through September 17th. So we're not going to add, I'm not recommending that we add events for that. I think you can kind of make it work through that extension period.
Yeah, we did do a schedule
Okay.
that we did an addendum, and we have, I think, 19.
Oh, so you have a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we did that. We had, I think, 5.5 were canceled last year because of rain.
Yeah.
So it just gives us a little, and we just 2 Saturdays. And the only other change is that the 2 weekends after Labor Day.
Yeah, which is for Harvest Fest.
Is right before that. So
Okay.
yeah, everything else, and it's listed out here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Okay.
And so we figure probably 5 will be rained out again.
Right.
So we figure like 14. And we're not, 4th of July is a Tuesday, so we're not doing anything on that one.
Okay.
So it's just the Labor Day, Memorial Day, and everything else. I think the afternoon is way easier for us too. 3 to 7
Okay.
is just a great time. So decibels, I think the 100 was real reasonable.
Yep.
I think the health department came out once.
Mm-hmm.
We took a log, and we'll continue to take a log because our sound guys need to make sure that they respect, otherwise they don't have a job.
Right, right. So I'll go with that 32 events. Obviously, we're approving the 19 that you've listed. Amend time to Sundays not to exceed 8 p.m., 100 decibels, 100 feet. And 4, I'm just going to say this for the record because I feel obligated to. If there are any complaints that come from neighbors, and this is going to be across the board for anyone who gets their extension of premises, that we will take action to reevaluate the privilege of having it. And that's just standard, you know that.
Right, and we've tried to work with our neighbors as much as we possibly
Yes, you
can.
have.
It's hard sometimes because we're not told who the neighbors are.
Right.
You know, we have to go through the public channels and do that. So,
Yeah.
And we've refined our musical choices
Right.
to better suit the immediate area.
Okay. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions? Because I'd like, go ahead.
The Monday time, shouldn't that Monday time be 8 o'clock too?
I'm fine with that. We're
yeah.
3 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be amended until
Yeah.
8 p.m.
Yep.
That's weekdays, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. I make a motion to approve.
I have a question.
Oh, Alderwoman
Madam
Ranky,
Chair.
go ahead.
I'd like to clarify, are you having tents or not?
We have 1 tent, that's it,
Okay.
for the stage.
It was being contemplated, it said.
Oh, no,
You didn't know if you were gonna,
We got it fixed.
we've got.
I think it was
Okay.
corrected.
Yep,
and on the noise, you already know.
Yep,
Because
we've-
we've gone through that.
yep, we've taken logs for
We've
every
only had
single one.
one complaint all year with you.
From what I've heard, I was told in the last 3 years, we've had 1 complaint, so.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we
you're on
try
your
to
way.
really, I mean, there's been some that we've told the people before the show, remember our neighbors, let's clean up, get out of here and be quiet.
That's important.
So, and
Yes.
our acts are very proactive in that as well, so.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So I made a motion. Is there a second?
You made a motion as amended, right?
Yes, as
Okay,
amended
second.
with the amendments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you for letting us get stuff done early. too.
Have a great season. All right, our last item is item 51, 2023-0177, summons and complaint in the matter of complaint against Buggin' Out, 5630 West Lincoln Avenue, agent Amy Thompson. We have kind of a full house tonight, so I want to make sure that everybody is aware that there is no talking or anything during this, so please keep commentary to yourself. This is just for Ms. Thompson to come forward, so thank you. And at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Attorney Serwin so he can walk through the process of the summons and complaint.
Very good, thank you. I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Thompson earlier today and via telephone. So, per our usual practice, the only thing that occurs tonight, there isn't any evidence, there's nothing presented. It's just a chance for the licensee or the agent to admit or deny the allegations. An admission could be used against them, admitting that the complaint is true, and we could set either today or a new date for a type of sentencing or determination. We could not go into closed session if that were to happen today. I'm not advocating that we do go into closed session, or not, that we have that discussion today. If there's a denial, we set this off a new date for a hearing, and this board has done those evidentiary hearings before. I want to remind the board and licensee that you are effectively the judge and jury in this matter, and so you should not be seeking out additional information other than what is presented. And although I don't have any problem with Ms. Thompson sending a general email, what we want to avoid is kind of the ex parte communication where one party only is talking with the judge or the jury, and so that kind of blanket communication I don't have an objection to, but just be very mindful of that. So with that said, is there any questions for me at this point from the board?
I don't have any.
All right, Ms. Thompson, at this point, and I will be acting as the prosecutor going forward, and so I'm just making that record first. But there will be, well, depending on your answer here, there will be another attorney that gets brought in for advising the committee. Are you admitting to the allegations in the complaint, or are you denying those and requesting a hearing date be set?
Deny.
The hearing date to be set?
Yes, please.
Okay, very good. And the board shouldn't use that as anything against the licensee or agent at this point in time. It's just kind of the procedural next step. So we'll continue to talk, and you're aware that you have the ability to hire a lawyer and bring somebody in if you'd like? Okay. We'll work with the clerk's office, the licensee, and the license and or the public safety committee on determining when that future date will be. I know we have some scheduling issues in the future.
Correct.
Okay?
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Thompson. And that concludes our public safety. We just need a motion for
Motion
adjournment.
to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.